All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. We're talking Memphis Grizzlies here. Only 3 games remaining on the schedule for Memphis. They currently have 55 wins. This might be the best Grizzlies team to ever exist. And I have some stats here brought to you from the Grizzlies Muse that I think kind of puts everything in perspective as far as how dominating Memphis really has been all season. I mean, maybe not granted the first 20 games or so when their defense first 20 games or so, I think was second worst in the entire NBA. Well, look at them now. They have a top 5 offense. They have a top 5 defense. So this is a really good team. You got to give them their respect. This is a team that, if you ask me, they are definitely making the Western Conference Finals, and they could win the NBA Finals. They could, at the very least, make the NBA Finals. Now, you do have the Phoenix Suns. I feel like that's kind of the one team that is really good in the Western Conference. Obviously, the Warriors with Steph Curry, they're super solid. But as far as like Dallas goes, a healthy Denver team for sure. All teams in the Western Conference are pretty solid, but I think Memphis is definitely like a top 2 team in that conference. So here's a tweet. The Grizzlies have won 17 games by over 20 points this season. That is by far the most in the NBA, and so they quite literally are dominating the NBA. Welcome back to the channel though, man. If you guys want more Grizzlies content, be sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button for daily NBA videos. The Grizzlies have been a real treat all season. I've never in my entire life, I think their record now without Ja Morant is 19-3. Still, that is the craziest statistic ever. I think the last Grizzlies video I made, they were 18-2 at that time without Ja Morant. I can't think of a single team in history, and I know like I heard Shannon Sharp talk about, like the old Lakers with Magic Johnson. They're not going 18-2 without Magic. The Celtics in the 80s, they're not going 18-2 without Larry Bird. So it really is unreal. And I know I kind of say this in every Grizzlies video, but the fact that they haven't had a player over 28, the fact that their average age is 24 just kind of shows you this is going to be a team that dominates the NBA for a very long time. We have Ja Morant stats here in the month of February. It's currently April 6th. He should be back 100% by the playoffs. I wouldn't be surprised if he were to play tomorrow against the Denver Nuggets. I wouldn't be surprised. But here are his stats from February, and it just kind of gives you a little taste of Ja Morant, just kind of what to expect. I mean, if you forgot last season, the Grizzlies got out of the play-in tournament with the 8th seed, and they lost in 5 to the Utah Jazz, which kind of really sucks because, Utah is never really like a finals threat. They're still a good playoff team, but, they're just kind of like fraudy. This is probably the last year that roster exists for Utah, but Ja Morant went like 32-8 in the first round of the playoffs last season. And, you kind of factor in the new additions that they have, just kind of the development, the progression that these players have gone through. And it's like, oh, shit. But here's Ja Morant in the month of February, 33 points per game, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, 52% from the field, and an 8-2 win-loss record. So, unfortunately for whoever ends up being the 7th seed, I think it'll probably be Minnesota, but at the same time, Paul George is back, so you can't count out the Clippers. But I think it actually has to be one of Clippers, Timberwolves. I still don't really even understand how the whole play-in tournament works, but whoever they play, Clippers or Timberwolves, as good as those teams are, they both have stars, they both have superstars, they both have really good benches. I just have a hard time believing that the Grizzlies are going to lose that series. Maybe, the Timberwolves take it to 6. Maybe the Timberwolves take it to 7. Maybe the Clippers do the same thing. But in my opinion, the Grizzlies are too good of a team to lose in the first round. I highly doubt that happens. Top 5 offense, a top 5 defense. Even if, a couple of guys go cold, one of Desmond Bane, Triple J, you have Ja Morant, you have Dylan Brooks back. You have guys off of the bench. Brandon Clark. Someone told me to give Brandon Clark some love. Brandon Clark deserves a lot of love. He deserves a lot of love. He's still a very young player. Looks pretty raw at certain times, but there is a lot of promise there. And he's already at that point where he can help you compete and win basketball games and hopefully win a championship. So definitely shout out Brandon Clark. But when you have a defensive big You have like your front court is literally Triple J, who is averaging 2.3 blocks per game. Jaren Jackson might be my most improved. The thing is, though, he's also a depoy candidate. Like, Jaren Jackson might actually win Defensive Player of the Year this year. Then you group him with Steven Adams, who is having a phenomenal season. He's averaging 10 rebounds per game. He gets that paint. He stands up there in the paint, arms up. You can't go over him. You have to find a way to get around him, and that's where the rest of the Grizzlies kind of come in. So there's something about this Grizzlies team. They're literally 5th in offense, 4th in defense. They're 55 and 24. 3rd in net rating. They're just like number 1 in a bunch of things. Now they're number 2 in points. Top 5 in pace. Number 1 in offensive rebounding. Number 1 in rebounding general. Number 1 in steals. Number 1 in blocks. Number 1 in a lot of other stats on defense. Like, it's super, super interesting to see how far this team's gonna go. So I want to hear from you guys down below in the comment section. How far are the Memphis Grizzlies going to go? If I had to make a prediction right now, I would say Western Conference Finals. But I think it's one of those at the least, Western Conference Finals. I just think this team with Ja Morant back especially, they're just way too good. Like 19-3 without your superstar player, that's unheard of. I've never heard of something like that. Hit the like button, hit that sub button. Let's try and hit 100 likes on today's Grizzlies video. I'll be covering this team throughout the entirety of the playoffs and their deep playoff run, hopefully. So, yeah, if you like Grizzlies content, hit that subscribe button. And, yeah, peace.